Independent MPs want to see an end to a culture of so-called jobs for mates they say has eroded public trust in government. A private member's bill to do just that will be tabled today, with Labor urged to back the legislation. Joining you live now, Independent member for Mackellar, Sophie Scamps. Thanks for your time. So, say briefly what's this about, so-called jobs for mates? What sort of areas is this happening in at the moment?
So, yes, this private member's bill would legislate an end to the jobs for mates culture. We know that jobs for mates absolutely undermines our political process because it undermines that integrity, the competence and the expertise of the institutions that underpin our democracy. And we know Australians want and deserve a democracy that they can trust. So we've seen this happen with the AAT, the Administrative Appeals Tribunal. That is probably the worst example.
That's being revamped now.
Yes, and it had to be revamped because up to 40% under the Morrison government of those appointments had direct political affiliations.
Which was Labor did that too a fair bit under their...
Yeah, so under the Howard government there was about 5% that had those direct connections, and under Rudd and Gillard it was about 6% or 5% as well. So it has dramatically increased over recent years, and particularly in the last government. So
you want this commissioner that makes some of these crucial appointments. How does that work? What if you're not happy with the commissioner's appointments?
Well, the thing is, there would be a public appointments commissioner, and they themselves would be subject to this robust process. So there would be an independent selection process that would actually select the public appointments commissioner.
Who does that?
So that's the start of the... So there would also be a committee, a joint parliamentary committee, which provides oversight of the whole process, and there'd also be... departmental independent selection panels for every department, and on that the department head would be on the panel, and also that public appointments commissioner, and there would be one or up to four other
so
members.
it all stems from this committee of MPs. Does someone control that? Because someone always controls the committee.
So yes, it's based around the public appointments commissioner, the independent selection panels, which are for every single department, and also the joint oversight committee as well. So yes, the public appointments commissioner would also be subject to this robust, independent and transparent process for selection.
Can you point to the actual issue? What are some appointments, some poor appointments? Shouldn't have been made?
Well, I mean, I think the most egregious is probably, as we mentioned, the Administrative Appeals Tribunal. Up to 40% of appointments in the last term were politically affiliated, so much so that now it's no longer trusted as an institution and has to be disbanded.
Does that mean that percentage, does that mean it's bad? I mean, do you want to point to someone who shouldn't have been appointed to the tribunal?
Well, I think if you have such important, significant integrity officers, you want to know that they've been appointed on their merit, not because of who they know or how they might vote, you know. So something
is there a percentage of politicians that it should be appointed at? I mean, is 40% too high? Do you want no politicians?
I think the Australians would expect that there's independence and transparency around every single major Commonwealth government appointment.
So a poly can still end up there, on the AAT, for example? Yeah,
if they've got the right qualifications, and also when we think about diplomatic posts. I mean, sometimes a politician has absolutely the right qualifications for the job.
OK. And any support from Labor for this? I'm sure you've been in discussion.
Yes, look, I have, and there is support from Labor for pro-integrity measures. We know that the National Anti-Corruption Commission, it just addresses corruption after it's happened, and what this bill does is start to build in pro-integrity measures and build back that independence and accountability into our system.
A couple of other issues to whip through. Superannuation changes from Labor, they would disproportionately affect your electorate. Are you supportive of this? Are your voters supportive of it?
Look, in my electorate, actually, the average superannuation balance is around $230,000.
That's well above the average.
Oh, it is above the average, but it's the average for my electorate, so it's still way below the $3 million. And I also know that we have a major national debt, and actually that is one of the biggest issues of concern for the people in my electorate.
What are they telling you? OK, this is fine, but no more, don't touch...
Look, I think there is that concern, where does this lead to? But actually I think the government's been a bit timid on this. What we actually need is to look at things like the petroleum resource rent tax and look at that type of thing, and how that can be brought in to help reduce the national debt. OK, so
more charging on the PRRT, but no more... Is this it for sustainability on super?
Look, I think...
Willing to look at other elements?
Oh, I don't think we need to look at other elements at the moment, and this can be voted on at the next...
And what about the stage 3, the income tax cut? Any
Look, I don't feel that that's been looked at the moment, and if that comes up again, then I listen to my electorate.
Kylie Tink said, well, maybe it's too flat, that tax bracket. The sort of, it flattens from 40k out to 200k, and maybe that should be looked at. Any thoughts on that?
Look, there are a number of the crossbenchers who are calling for a far wider reform of the tax system. There needs to be a national conversation on that. So this piecemeal kind of approach is probably not what we're looking for.
Right, but so is that a yes to open on that? Or
I think we need to look at it when it becomes an issue.
But it's legislated, it's there. Do you think we should just roll out as
right.
it is? You're happy with it as it is?
Look, it's legislated and it's there, as you said, so currently it's not an issue that's on the table.
But you don't want to put it on the table?
No, I'm not putting it on the table.
OK, and just finally, company tax. Are companies paying enough tax in Australia?
Look, I think that's what we're calling for, is a broader look at tax reform, and whether that's the right amount or not, we need to look at.
And a lot of it, the conversation on tax, are our spending problems just with us? Do we need to look at spending restraint as well?
Yes, I think we do, but we also, I think one of the most important things we need to look at is what I mentioned. We have a huge national debt, and one of the best ways that we could reduce that national debt is to bring in a petroleum resource rent tax. We see what's happened in Norway. They have a huge sovereign wealth fund. We have a huge national debt. There's something that we could simply do.
Sophie Scamps, appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.